Hello Lima, brought to you by Good Food Restaurant, home of Happy Days, Beer Barrel, and Old City Prime. Also by Mercy Health Partners, 318 Restaurant and Bar, Lima Palette Company, and Fresh and Faded Hair Studio.
Welcome to Hello Lima. Certainly it's a pleasure to be joined by the esteemed Roland Martin. One of the things that Hello Lima has tried to do over the past year with its shows is try to bring guests that have the ability to speak real, what I call truth to power, and there's no better person than Roland Martin who's going to do that as he waits to join the stage on the community enrichment dinner. Roland, tell me this, as you come to these small towns, and we are certainly a small town, how do small towns like Lima make the type of impact that we need to be making in order to move particularly the black community forward? It is so difficult because there's just a lack of what I call space in the black community who can speak without repercussion.
I won't call it a lack of space. What I will call it is a lack of courage and conviction. So let me unpack that. So when you talk about, so how large is Lima?
Lima is 30,000 people in the city and about 100,000 in the county.
So
27% African American population.
So if you compare Lima to Montgomery, Alabama,
right?
In Montgomery, what you had there was you had a decision that was made to launch Montgomery bus boycott, which was a one-day boycott. It was not planned to go 381 days. One-day boycott. After one successful day, they then went 5 days. 50,000 black folks did not get on a bus. They said, let's go 5 days. After 5 days, they said, let's continue this. The key there was that you had African Americans who found a common issue, common purpose, and they said, let's change this. So the modern day black freedom movement, because there certainly were things that were done before, A. Philip Randolph, Pullman car porters, and we can go down the line, took place in a small city. So this assumption that change happens in major cities, major metropolis, larger people is not true. But what has to happen is you have to have courage, conviction, and then you must have collective action. So the problem is when folks don't understand the power of the collective to begin to say, all right, if we see an injustice here, how do 1,000 or 2,000 or 5,000 or 7,000 band together and say, we're going to take this sort of action? And so that's the struggle. And so we went from Montgomery, one-day boycott, 5 days, 381 days, to literally bringing down Jim Crow. So when you now travel around the world, you can go to India or Eastern Europe or other places, and you have an MLK drive. You have people who, when in Egypt, when they had an Arab uprising, they were wearing I am a man signs, which sanitation workers were wearing in Memphis. So you have to ask yourself, wait a minute, hold up. How is it that the rest of the world watched this movement, adopted its strategies and principles to create change where they are?
Where they were.
Because a small group of people chose to, ordinary people did extraordinary things. And that's the fundamental problem. We've made this thing so large. So this is what happens. People go, oh my God, we got this. I'm like, no. Bring it all down. One thing, one day, stand together. Let's go 5, stand together. Let's keep it going.
Having you in Lima certainly is going to be enlightened as long as I shut up and hear the wisdom that you bring to a community this size. Before you take the stage, one of the reasons that we brought you here is like, hey, can you help us have a dialogue, particularly with the majority community, on how we can make a movement that moves the community forward in an inclusive environment. So let me ask you this, Roland, and anybody who follows you knows that you speak your mind, and at the same time you have a good dialogue based on all the journalism and all the dialogue that you've been doing all over the world. I mean, you are the person. So I'm going to shut up and ask you, why can't we in Lima get the black community to love itself enough to make this movement happen, or to make progress?
Well, I think first and foremost,
and that's a lot there, Roland. But I want you to unpack
I got you. I mean, but it's not unique to Lima.
That's what somebody told.
It's not unique. So what happens is I travel everywhere and people go,
it's so frustrating.
Yeah, but you're not from here. I'm going, trust me, in these 30 cities, they said the exact same thing. No, it's different. No, it's not. It's not different.
It's not different.
It's not different at all. The basis of it all.
How? Tell me.
The basis of it all is just very simple. That is the inability to have strong leadership.
I'm listening.
Who is able to bring folks together and say, okay,
I'm listening.
You and you and you and you and you have all these different things we want to do. What have you actually accomplished in your own individual silos?
All right, I'm listening.
So, if you and you and you and you and you haven't really accomplished much in your individual silos,
how?
Clearly, we should be thinking about how do we operate in a collective? How do we keep our disagreements internal?
Yes.
Hash these things out,
yes.
And not in an hour.
Yes.
See, the greatest.
We need to hear this.
The greatest mistake coming as we think about the Black Freedom Movement.
Right.
And even that, because see, white America and others call it the Civil Rights Movement, when it really was the Black Freedom Movement. So what happens out of that, what people don't do is, they don't study it and they don't go, wait a minute, hold up. How did they achieve it? So we focus on the march, we focus on the boycott, but no, it was the strategizing. It was the fact that when King and Wilkins and Young and Haidt and Lewis and Snick, when they all came in the room, they had 4 and 5 hour knockdown, drag out fights, but they left the room saying, this is where we're going.
Wow.
And that's the difference. The problem is when you do a knockdown, drag out, then you leave the room and you're still splintered. That's the fundamental problem. And so it's having people in the room who say, first of all, I might disagree with you, but I respect you
enough to
say,
dialogue.
Look, where should we go? They had fierce battles. I'm talking about if you read Chaos on Community, if you read the last year of King's life, if you read, they had battles. Thurgood Marshall couldn't stand MLK because he would say, oh, King out here running his mouth, always sticking us with the legal bills. Roy Wilkins in 1959 called MLK a radical because of his position. So all of these folks had these differences of opinion, but they understood, though, we can sit here and fight internally, but we got to be able to be unified outside.
Wow, we're going to come back. We're going to take a break here. We're going to come back and follow up on that if we can, Roland, because it's critical for our communities, particularly Lima, to be able to move forward with that kind of dialogue. Be right back.
Save the date. This year's Community Enrichment Dinner is September 22nd, featuring a jamming concert from the classical hip-hop hybrid Black Violin. Mark your calendar for the Community Enrichment Dinner September 22nd. You don't want to miss it.
From early in the morning when the Happy Days stores open, turn the grills on, get the coffee turned on. Across town, the beer barrels, there's a lot of prep work that has to be done. Sauces being prepped on the stove. At Old City Prime, everything's from scratch. I think the culture in our company is that we care about our people. And in return, our people care about our customers. Thank you so much to all of our team that's worked for us, and thank you so much to all the communities that we're in for being such great customers.
You are the center of a universe. That's what we've learned in 160 years serving our community. Everybody means the world to someone. So when you're in here, or if someday you find yourself in here, and when all you can think about is the world that revolves around you, we'll be a world that revolves around you too. Mercy Health. Healthcare for the universe of you.
We at Lima Pallet Company thank you, Lima. In 1977, we started a small family business, and today we continue to grow. Lima Pallet is a full-service pallet and crate provider. Every customer is unique, which is why we build pallets and crates to our customers' specific requirements. Because we have our own fleet of trucks, we're able to provide customers with on-time, same-day, and 24-hour emergency deliveries. Coming together is the beginning, keeping it together is progress, and working together is success. Let's continue to succeed.
Save the date. This year's Community Enrichment Dinner is September 22nd, featuring a jamming concert from the classical hip-hop hybrid Black Violin. Mark your calendar for the Community Enrichment Dinner September 22nd. You don't want to miss it.
Roland, some of the things that you said certainly hit home, and I think Lima is just thirsty for this type of wisdom. And I don't mean for you to come here and feel like you have to help us change what we're doing here, but we need your wisdom. Having said that, Roland, when you talk about this collective group who has the courage to make movements, and you're saying it happens all over the... Everywhere. So, but it's important. I don't want to drag this dialogue to the point where we're just dialoguing about whether or not blacks can get along. But I think it's that big of an issue in our community, Roland, to hear more of how we can bring this unique problem, although you're telling me it's not unique, to an area where we can move the community forward. We're in a community, Roland, that is struggling, particularly in the black community. We're struggling just to find a way to be able to do more, to be able to give more, to be able to have more, to be able to have more economic power, more economic opportunities, but we're having trouble just coming together. And you're saying that has been going on, or that continues to go on throughout.
But what also
how do you find those leaders, Roland? Go ahead.
Also, when you said coming together, so here's the other deal. We spend a lot of time, again, all across the country, where people say, can we all come together?
Yeah.
Well, the reality is, I'm not interested in everybody coming together.
Okay.
I'm interested in working with those who are in the room. So here's what happens.
All right.
Let's say I send out invites to 100 people.
All right.
And let's say 25 show up. What often happens is people will spend most of the meeting complaining about why didn't 75 show up, as opposed to saying, let me deal with and focus and mobilize and organize the 25 who showed up.
Okay.
And so then the 25 who did show up then say, this is the plan of action that we're going to move down. And then people say, well, you're not going to be able to accomplish this. No. I'm focused on the 25 because they're going to be haters. They're going to be people who say, you're not going to make it, you can't do it, and then you go, okay, you know what, whatever, that's fine. Y'all can keep saying what y'all want to say. This is also biblical. That's in Nehemiah chapter 2. Rebuild the wall. Nehemiah went to the people. The people said, let us rebuild. There were haters who said, you're not going to rebuild the wall. And Nehemiah said, y'all keep building. If you get slowed down because people who didn't show up are throwing rocks, then you lose. What then happens is when you say this is our common agenda and we're moving forward, then you achieve a success. Then all of a sudden the people who are sitting on the sideline then go, oh, that actually happened. Then when somebody says, okay, so we had 25, your next meeting you might have 30. Okay, so then it's, okay, y'all can come on, all right, because we're moving forward. Then you keep moving, and you keep moving.
I follow you.
See, the mistake that we make when we talk about the Black Freedom Movement, all these people who said they marched didn't march.
I see.
There's a whole bunch of people who are alive today who say, I marched, they were lying.
Okay.
They were naysayers. They didn't believe it was going to happen.
Until it started.
Talk to any pastor, they'll tell you 20% of the people do the work of the other 80%. But 100% benefit from really the work of the 20. Jesus said the harvest is plentiful, but the laborers are few. So you know that going in. And so so the mistake is waiting for everybody to show up to then say, okay, we need to move. What are we going to do?
I follow you.
If I'm targeting 30 businesses and only 3 businesses say we'll help, fine, I'm going to focus on the 3. And then I'm going to tell the 3, I need you to bring 1 or 2 each. So now if the 3 brings 2 each, now all of a sudden, I now have 9 businesses. See, what we don't do is also tell the people, I need y'all to be in this. Person comes to a pastor and says, Pastor, man, I wish you could talk to this person who owned my job. The pastor should say, well, why didn't you invite them to church? Why didn't you go pick them up to even bring them? Why do I need to show up at your job? So the onus has to also be on the people. That's how you do the multiplier effect.
All right, I got it.
And so that's how you build. And so if you're fretting over this group, they refuse to show up. Okay, fine. Y'all can sit over there. But when we do something and there's a success, then the next success, the people go, they're moving. They're creating action.
That's good
now,
stuff.
if you're over here hating on them, the people are going, why y'all hating? They're moving.
Right.
So if the people over here said, you know what, we're going to collect 500 backpacks,
right,
and then we collect 700 backpacks. Well, the haters like, well, y'all were never going to do it. We collected 700. Y'all keep hating, but we're doing the work.
We're moving forward.
That's the mistake. We get so bogged down in just trying to have the meeting.
That's crazy.
And then we forget to work.
Focus on who's not there, as supposed to focus on who shows up.
When I speak anywhere, seriously, so you take these chairs that are in the room.
Right.
Okay, so you have about 12 chairs in the room.
Right.
If there were 2 people, and this has actually happened before, there were 2 people sitting in these chairs, and the other 10 were empty, I am not talking to 10 empty chairs. I'm talking to the 2 people and giving them a charge that will then cause them to go out and do the work to bring the other 10. That's the difference.
One of the things that I want to make sure that I don't leave here without saying is that we brought you here for a purpose. We follow you. I follow you. And you being the type of most spiritual as well as just problem. I mean, you focus on stuff, the real life stuff. And you're Roland Martin Unfiltered. You go to small towns, small cities. Follow me? I pick up the phone. I says, well, Roland Martin, he'll probably come to Lima. Follow me? He goes into the heart belt, where voices need to be heard, and you're speaking to those voices through your platform.
But also affirming was already being said. So what happens is, look, Jesus is a prophet in his own town has no honor. The reality is, someone from the outside, this happens in families all the time.
Yes.
Someone from the outside can come in and actually affirm what's already being said, and people will actually listen to it because the person is not from here.
Not from here.
Happens all the time.
Yes, it does.
And so, a friend of mine, Shakim, who is the manager for Queen Latifah, okay, so I mean, guy's been in the hip hop industry for 30 years. His son would not listen. He is the manager for Queen Latifah.
I'm listening.
His son would not listen to him about the music business. Your daddy has been in it for 30 years.
And he wouldn't listen.
But you would listen to your daddy, but you want to go do your own thing. He's like, okay, fine, go right ahead. It happens all the time.
I see.
But again, we can't get so bogged down in who's not in the meeting. And then we go, well, but so-and-so has a large church. Doesn't matter. I would take this small church pastor,
the 2 people
with a motivated membership, over an ambivalent large church pastor. That's the difference. But see, we spend so much energy going, but if so-and-so was here, so-and-so was here.
I agree. I got you. I got you.
I never worry about who's not in the room.
We're going to take a break. Be right back.
Save the date. This year's Community Enrichment Dinner is September 22nd, featuring a jamming concert from the classical hip-hop hybrid Black Violin. Mark your calendar for the Community Enrichment Dinner September 22nd. You don't want to miss it.
You are the center of a universe. That's what we've learned in 160 years serving our community. Everybody means the world to someone. So when you're in here, or if someday you find yourself in here, and when all you can think about is the world that revolves around you, we'll be a world that revolves around you too. Mercy Health. Healthcare for the universe of you.
From early in the morning when the Happy Days stores open, turn the grills on, get the coffee turned on. Across town, the beer barrels, there's a lot of prep work that has to be done. Sauces being prepped on the stove. At Old City Prime, everything's from scratch. I think the culture in our company is that we care about our people. And in return, our people care about our customers. Thank you so much to all of our team that's worked for us. And thank you so much to all the communities that we're in for being such great customers.
Our barbers and cosmetologists are licensed professionals who specialize in all phases of hair. Whether you are getting a line-up, cut, beard trim, or design, our barbers will help create your unique style. With full-time cosmetologists, also taking appointments and walk-ins from lashes, presses, color, wax to braids, and weaves, Fresh and Faded cosmetologists do it all. Call us for an appointment today. Fresh and Faded Unisex Hair Studio, the largest shop in Northwest Ohio. 419-221-FADE.
If you ain't fresh, you ain't faded.
Save the date. This year's Community Enrichment Dinner is September 22nd, featuring a jamming concert from the classical hip-hop hybrid Black Violin. Mark your calendar for the Community Enrichment Dinner September 22nd. You don't want to miss it.
Let me ask you this, Roland. That is some good stuff. Real quick, why was the Jay-Z partnership with the NFL so heatedly debated, and and the Shaq issue with Papa John's seemed to be accepted?
Well, first off,
I'm thinking that they're very similar.
Well, first off,
and I know you.
Well, here's the big difference.
I'm listening.
And I'm familiar with the intimate details.
Yes, you are. That's why I asked.
On the Jay-Z side, the rollout was awful. The limited conversation was awful, and then there was more announced about the entertainment side than the social justice side.
Okay, good point. I see.
And I've talked to folks in the NFL about this as well.
Yes, I know you. That's why I'm asking you.
It should have been 75-25. More discussion on the social justice side,
yes, as opposed to the halftime. Who was going to dance at the halftime?
That's the difference. And so that was the issue there. Then there were some comments Jay-Z made that were deemed dismissive of what Colin Kaepernick, Kenny Stills, Eric Reed, and others were doing.
I know.
When he says, we need to stop kneeling. Well, first of all, that's not your call. That's first. It's not your call.
I got you.
You're not a player.
Yes.
Not your call. Now, when you talk about the Papa John's piece, what's interesting about that,
because I know you're in the middle of this.
But here's what's interesting about that. Well, people,
why does that make me mad, Roland?
Well, no.
Why does it make me mad? And I like Shaq.
No. But you shouldn't be mad, because here's why. And actually, this was also part of Papa John's problem, and I actually had a conversation about this with him. People didn't realize was the number of black Papa John franchisees. You got black folks in Detroit and other cities
operating
who own Papa John franchisees.
I'm listening.
So what happened was, when they had the boycott, there were a number of individuals, there were stores that lost sales. They had to cut the hours and lay off black staff. So what Papa John's did not effectively do, in my estimation, which I still think they should do, they should, after they got rid of their founder, then when they were trying to then rebuild this brand, what they should have been doing is making the argument that, hey guys, this guy was, yes, he started this whole deal, but we got African Americans who own, these are small business owners. Also elevating their voices.
I did not know that.
Then articulating how we're changing the internal culture. I remember I was flying to LA. I happened to be sitting next to a white man who was a regional vice president of Papa John's.
Yeah, I'm listening.
And we were talking about this whole issue, and he was telling me how they didn't like the owner and the things that he was saying. They were happy that he was gone. So then what happened was, they make this announcement, Shaq is going to be owning some stores, he's on the board, he's in commercials, and so people were kind of like, oh, Shaq is covering up for him without seeding the ground to let people know, no. This person and this person and this person, you never heard of are actual owners. This is how their voices are now being amplified to change the internal infrastructure of the company as well. So they built it, and I know there were some conversations about literally having town halls talking about corporate responsibility and things along those lines. Malcolm Jenkins, one of the players protesting. Malcolm owns a number of Papa John franchises.
No, he does not.
Yes, he does.
Why isn't that story told?
But again, that's part of the deal there.
And you were even telling me there were some minority owners, African Americans who owned Papa John's before Shaq came on boord.
Yes.
Okay, I need to stop being mad and stop turning the channel every time those commercials come on.
And what we have to also understand is that, and this is what corporate America has to understand. Black people are two things. African Americans are distrustful and loyal.
Yes.
We are extremely loyal.
I'm listening.
The problem is when you make a mistake.
It's hard.
It's real hard for black folks. I mean, to this day, if I'm driving, I'm running out of gas, and I see a Texaco.
You will not.
Instinctively, I remember those audio tapes of calling black folks the N-word. That was in the 90s.
I follow you, Roland.
So even for me, there are black people who have not forgotten when black folks were not served at Denny's. That's also the flip side of what you're talking about. For African Americans, we don't forget when those things happen, which means that a company then has to create a different focus to get somebody to understand this is how we've changed, this is what's been instituted, because we're used to using a popular or well-known figure to come in to sort of say everything is all good, when no, that's really not it. It needs to be that person in Chicago and this person in this city and this city. That is a fact. All of a sudden, matter of fact, if I was Papa John's, I would have created a campaign if I had 49 African Americans who own franchisees.
Yes.
I would have created a commercial that featured them.
Yes, follow me, in a heartbeat. You guys have heard a lot today, and we certainly are appreciative of Roland coming and educating us. We're going to have an opportunity to hear him on the stage. He's going to speak at the Community Enrichment Dinner. He's one of the few who has a platform that can change the world, that has agreed to come to Lima. We've done really well with our dinners over the past, bringing speakers here, but it certainly has been a pleasure. And if you don't follow Roland Martin on Filter, I tell you to go to that. It's going to change the world as we go forward. Thank you, Roland. Looking forward to you today.
Save the date. This year's Community Enrichment Dinner is September 22nd, featuring a jamming concert from the classical hip-hop hybrid Black Violin. Mark your calendar for the Community Enrichment Dinner September 22nd. You don't want to miss it.
From early in the morning when the Happy Days stores open, turn the grills on, get the coffee turned on. Across town, the beer barrels, there's a lot of prep work that has to be done. Sauces being prepped on the stove. At Old City Prime, everything's from scratch. I think the culture in our company is that we care about our people. And in return, our people care about our customers. Thank you so much to all of our team that's worked for us, and thank you so much to all the communities that we're in for being such great customers.
You are the center of a universe. That's what we've learned in 160 years serving our community. Everybody means the world to someone. So when you're in here, or if someday you find yourself in here, and when all you can think about is the world that revolves around you, we'll be a world that revolves around you too. Mercy Health. Healthcare for the universe of you.
We at Lima Pallet Company thank you, Lima. In 1977, we started a small family business, and today we continue to grow. Lima Pallet is a full-service pallet and crate provider. Every customer is unique, which is why we build pallets and crates to our customers' specific requirements. Because we have our own fleet of trucks, we're able to provide customers with on-time, same-day, and 24-hour emergency deliveries. Coming together is the beginning, keeping it together is progress, and working together is success. Let's continue to succeed.
Hello Lima, brought to you by Good Food Restaurant, home of Happy Days, Beer Barrel, and Old City Prime. Also by Mercy Health Partners, 318 Restaurant and Bar, Lima Pallet Company, and Fresh and Faded Hair Studio.